Hello, folks, and welcome to this week's Hang. This week we got Hamilton's own Johanna Moise. I loved the time we got to spend together. From someone who was on her road to be a cardiothoracic surgeon while still dreaming about treading the boards, who ends up treading the boards in one of the hottest shows ever in our industry, and during her time in Hamilton, she completes her neuropsychology degree. Super inspiring, and there's so much more to her. She's now a Wilhelmina Model. All the while inspiring herself, keeping herself grounded in amongst the noise of this industry, but she is unbelievable. I can't wait for you guys to get to know her better on this week's Hang.
You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Sorry about the neighbors, Johanna Moise. Welcome to the Hang,
Thanks
star
for
of
having me.
Hamilton. How's that going?
Good. It's going really well, actually.
Were you in it from the beginning?
No, I joined in 2019. I moved up here to do it.
Really? From?
Florida.
Where in Florida?
South Florida, like Broward County area.
Very nice.
Yeah.
A lot of my guests are like, there's a Florida thing going on. I have an
Really?
affinity for Florida. I love the west coast of Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
How good.
Sarasota and all that.
I've never been to Sarasota before, but we did used to have a house in Fort Myers.
Very
Which-
nice.
yeah.
So tell me, so you moved up for Hamilton. So
Yes.
what was happening prior to Hamilton? What connected you to Hamilton?
I was going to school for cardiothoracic surgery, and then I didn't do that anymore. Yeah, I was going to school for cardiothoracics. I graduated high school in 2017 and then went straight to college. And then there was like a regional theater by my house, and somebody pulled out of their production, and they were like, we need someone who can sing and dance. And so I auditioned for it, and I got in, and I was like, wait, I like doing this.
Hold on.
Yes.
You're on the road to become a heart surgeon.
Yeah.
Someone then goes, can you sing and dance? You're like, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, fill in the space here.
Well, I mean, I grew up dancing. Like, I've been a dancer since I was like 4 years old or something.
All right, so you got
a little moves.
you know, sprinkle some of this
Yeah.
story into it as well.
Well, my parents put me into dance when I was, I think, 4 because I was born pigeon-toed. So they wanted to just like correct that. So they put me in ballet.
Do you know, I did read this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You read it?
I think on your website.
I keep forgetting that I have one. I was like, oh my gosh.
It could use an update.
It could use
Yeah,
an update.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a little old. Yeah.
Little bit.
Yes, but they put me into ballet, and then I just never stopped. Like, I did everything like soccer, karate, judo with my brothers, tennis. But dance was the only thing that I was like, I really enjoy doing this.
Karate.
Yes.
How deep did you get with that? Like, are you a black belt?
Oh, no, I got to a green belt, actually.
So no UFC future for you?
No, but my little brother, he's very into like boxing right now.
Really? How
But
old is
He's I'm 24. He's 22. We're all 2 years apart, and there's 6 of us.
Is he doing amateur fights?
Yeah, well, he wants to, but my mom's like, definitely not.
Yeah, I was like-
Everybody else in the family is like medicine track. So
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. But
Yeah.
just with your brother, so he trains, but he doesn't actually do any fights.
No, not yet.
When he spars in training, is it with headgear on?
Yes. Yeah, he
Have
does
you
it
seen
with
him?
the headgear.
Have you seen him spar?
Yes, he has a TikTok actually. He just made one. And
Really?
He's uploading all of his like
Boxing
shadow
stuff?
Yeah, and it's really cool to see.
Must give him
But-
a shout. What's the TikTok?
I think it's G Ben Moise. I think.
All right, we'll have a little look at that.
Yeah.
See how his
he's
hook
really
is.
good. Like he's really quite like proficient in it and really good with his hands, super fast. So
Yeah, my oldest Jaden, he got into boxing for quite a bit from 15 to 17, and it
Yeah.
dropped off. Which I was disappointed that the training and in practice session sparring ended. But boy, he was good.
Yeah.
Like I was as a father, I'm like, oh, head trauma and whatnot.
Yes.
But then I'd see him fight. I was
do
like,
it.
wow, he's
Like,
really good.
Talented. Yeah.
His hands are fast. He
That's
still
the
has the
thing.
hands. So,
Yeah. Maybe he'll get back into it.
well, I missed the discipline that came with that.
Yes.
And the training, the discipline that comes with training, the camaraderie with the coaches and whatnot, and just the life lessons you can pick
Yeah.
up with being in an environment like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your family's all into medicine?
Yes.
Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, my oldest brother has autism, so he goes to like a vocational school, and then my sister under him, she's just become a licensed social worker, and then my brother under her is going to be a traveling RN. My brother under him is going to be a general practitioner. Then there's me, who was going to do cardiothoracics, and then I'm clearly not doing that anymore. And then my little brother is doing bone medicine.
How many's in the family?
Six kids. Wow. Yeah, I'm
quick.
number 5.
Do you all get together for Christmas, Thanksgiving, like as best you can?
I try to, yeah. I mean, for us, the biggest holiday is Haitian Independence Day, which is January 1st. So usually I try to go home for that if I can. But with the Broadway schedule, you can't always like call out in those dates. So.
Right. Do you try and like pre-negotiate that in the contract if you can?
Yeah. And Hamilton's really good about that too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how are most of them still around the Florida area?
All of them live at home.
So it's only you that's got to travel down.
Yeah.
That must be great though when you all get together.
It is. But I'm like very family oriented. So when I first moved to the city, it was like a lot of like loneliness, But I've gained like a very good group of friends now that feel kind of like a second family. So that's been good.
So that's been 3 years here?
Yeah. Yes.
How long did it start
pandemic.
feeling like a second home for you then?
Honestly, I feel like 2021, when we came back after the pandemic, we started rehearsal.
Of course.
With
So
everybody.
You must have been here maybe a year tops before it all shut down.
Yeah. It was like I was a vacation swing, so I did 6 months and then I was gone and then I came back right before the pandemic hit, like 4 months of the show, and then we were on vacation for 2 weeks. Yeah.
And now you feel like you've got...
Yeah,
it
definitely
feels like a second
community.
home.
Yeah, absolutely.
That work community is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see you in the gym every now and then. I'm like, she knows what she's doing.
Well, because of Jennifer Geller,
who's also in the show with you?
Yes, yeah. She's like
Oh,
the
so she
personal
got
trainer.
you training?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, she's taught you well.
She has.
Your form's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was
Thank
watching.
you
I
so
was like, it made me re-question my form. So let's go back to this. You're going to be a heart surgeon.
Yes.
So where were you at before Hamilton called? In your studies,
I was doing my undergrad in biology with the cardiothoracic like focus. And then so when I did that regional theater job, I was like, oh, I really like this. And there were actors from New York that came down to do it in Florida. And they were like, you should audition for Hamilton. And I was like, I can't. I'm doing this to fill in for somebody, but also like I have to follow that track. Like that's just what we're supposed to do and like what my parents want me to do. And I do love science. Like I it's like one of my favorite things. So I was like, no, I'm just going to do this, have fun, and then go back to work. But then Hamilton ended up having an ECC in like February of 2018.
What does that mean? ECC?
Equity chorus call. So like you can just basically come and like sign up your name early in the morning to get seen or not. And so I begged my mom. I was like, please. And she's like, you're not even union. Like, you're not going to get seen at this audition. She's like, you're going to pay like $400 to fly to New York City for one day to try and get seen. And if you don't, what happens? And I was like, well, if I don't get seen, then like it's like a sign I just shouldn't be doing this. So she helped me pay for the ticket.
One and done sign. Look at that.
Well, I was
all
very
unread.
like, well, my parents are very, very practical. They were like, it's your studies that are most important. So like you do that, you get a job, you build a career, get a family. That's like just the way that they think about things. But I was a bit of a dreamer. And so I was like, please. And they did. So I flew up for that audition. I signed my name up at 4 a.m. and I didn't end up getting seen.
What?
So, yeah. So they held us in the holding room, I think, for like 3 hours. And then the monitor was like, we're not seeing non-union today, but you can leave your headshots and like, we'll call you. And then I flew home. I was devastated. It was so bad.
Okay, we're going to continue the story. But when you're flying up to, how passionate were you about cardiothoracic surgery?
Oh, that is what I want. I was like, I want my hand around an aorta and a heart. Like, that is what I need to do.
So the passion to go up for this ECC
Was a little more, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, just because like.
So then were you always daydreaming about being a performer on stage?
Always, yeah.
Okay.
Like growing up a dancer, like you do competition and you take class and you see your peers getting better and like you're winning awards and things like that. And it's just so, it was like an escape for me because school was very much like you've got your 5 APs, you go to school, you study. And if you study, you get like the product. But with this world, it's so, you can work and still somebody behind the table could be like, you're too short. You know, like there's been that variability with it this whole time.
Yeah.
So, but I remember I watched like the movie version of Les Mis and like Newsies whenever that came out and Legally Blonde, the MTV version. I was like,
When you say movie version of Les Mis, what do you mean?
with Anne Hathaway and Hugh Jackman.
yeah.
Yeah. I watched that and I was like, oh my God. And then would go into my room and like sing to the mirror.
Really? Yeah. Which character
You
spoke
know?
to you, Fantine or Eponine?
Eponine.
Okay.
You know, I was just obsessed. And
You'd be perfect as Eponine.
thanks. No. Maybe later. I don't know.
We'll get the backing track on my own. We'll close out this podcast with you singing.
With me singing. Yeah. But, and I shared a room with my sister at the time. And I still do when I go visit home. Like, we're very, very close. Like, my family, my brothers all share rooms. I shared a room with my sister from, like, I was 5 years old to literally 19 when I booked the show. Like, we're all just, like, my mom's biggest dream is to have a huge plot of land that all of us live on with,
Lovely.
like, all of our family, so.
Okay, so you're now on the flight back.
Yes.
You're like, Broadway's
Devastated.
over.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to be a heart surgeon.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll just save people's lives.
Yeah, if I have to, you know, if I must. And it was so, like, the biggest blow. Like, I was on the plane, like, crying, hiding in my beanie hat. Like,
I would love to ask you, what's the matter? They didn't see me for Hamilton, so now I got to be a heart surgeon.
but then I got back and I just went back into school. But I did continue doing those, like, regional theater shows because it worked around my schedule. I was like, I can have this for a little bit longer.
When you say regional, is that community theater or is that like semi-pro?
Community theater.
So no payment. That's purely passion and...
Well, I did get paid. So I guess, would it be community theater perhaps? I don't know how it works.
Let's call it semi-pro.
Okay, great. A semi-pro theater. Yeah, we did like Flashdance, the musical was my first ever musical I did. And I was like...
Is that like a weekend run or is it a week, a month?
It was 2 weeks. And it's like always a senior matinee. Like everybody in the audience is like 70, 80 from like Century Village down the road. And we were just like living our best lives for them.
And they were living their best lives.
Yeah, they had a great time. And at the time I was like, this is everything. Like I get $300. Like this is amazing. But still going to school. And then 8 months later after that initial audition, I got an email from Telsey, like inviting me to a dance call in the city.
Bernie Telsey, casting director, for those who aren't aware of this first name, last name basis you're on with him.
One of the biggest offices in the city. Yeah. And I got the email and I ran downstairs to show my parents and they were like, how do you know this isn't a scam? Like, because they came from Haiti and they moved to the United States when they were like 26 and 27 respectively. So like my dad was like, I don't know what Broadway is. You're not going. Like we already said, one done done. And I was like, no, but like this is good because then I can like show them my stuff. And actually, if they like hate me, this will finally be it. And they're like, okay. So they set me up with my sister came with me that time.
Oh, they're sending reinforcements now.
Yes. They were like, check out the area. Because again, everybody in my family lives in Florida. Like nobody has ever moved. It was just me and I was like 19 years old and like, I'm going to be a star. And they were like, no, you're not. But yeah, my sister came up with me and I did my audition and then they did like cuts. And I was like, and then they called me to stay behind to learn the next combo. I was like, yes. So then I did that day and then went back to the hotel. And it was every time I flew up, it was like I was there for like a day and a half. So I was there for the day of the audition, then I flew back the next day. But on my flight back, like literally I was boarding the plane. They were like, you've got a call back for next week. So I was like, so I got home and I was like, hey, so they liked me, so I have to go back. And my mom was like, you literally, this is the last time I'm paying for this. Like, you have to tell them you're from Florida. This is like not plausible for you to keep flying up and down. Like, it's just not financially smart or anything. So I was like, but if they know I'm from Florida, they're not going to hire me. She's like, well, that's just how this works. So I flew up again for the following week, did that dance call, got called back again in the room, did another dance, and then got called back to sing. And I was like, okay, so I'm not from here. Like, I'm sorry if this is like a trouble or not, but like, please, if I'm able to, can I sing before my flight home? And they were like so understanding, like, yeah, absolutely. I sang with our current music director, Ian Weinberger, all of the material from the show. He was like, great, thank you so much. And I was like, great, thanks. Flew home. And then that was in November. December 14th is my birthday. I got a call a week before and they were like, if we have anything for you, you'll hear like the week of your birthday. Like we know your birthday's coming up. It'll be like so fun. And I was like, oh my God, great.
They're saying this to you?
Yeah. I was talking to Lauren Harris. Yeah. She was like, we'll call you next week. And I was like, okay. And then my birthday came and went and I didn't get a call. So I was like crying the whole thing.
Did you cry on your birthday?
I did.
No, you didn't.
I did. In like a Publix parking lot too. Like I was just like...
Hamilton made you cry on your birthday.
They did. They don't know it, but I was a mess. And then I got a chicken tender pub sub because that's what you do.
Happy days.
Happy days. And it was on sale. So it was a sign. Again, me with my signs. And then January 1st, I was supposed to start another regional contract. We were going to do the producers with Clayton Phillips.
And you are in demand on the regional scene.
Listen.
Come on.
I'm a South Florida theater girl, okay?
Were you auditioning for all that too?
In South Florida, they do like have an audition for like the season at the beginning of the year. So you just like, you sing one song, you do like a dance call, and then they're like, oh, like she could be in this show, this show, this show.
The reason I asked is I wondered, what was your nerves, your psyche like when you were coming to audition for a big Broadway show? Where you seemed, as you're telling the story, you seem pretty calm and collected.
Well, the thing for me is that I can't think about how big like the opportunities are, or else I'll psych myself out.
I do that all the time.
It's so true though, because you're like, oh my gosh, like series regular for HBO Max, I have to be perfect.
Yep.
And then because it's so, you don't know how it works, and they could just be like, you look like my ex-girlfriend, so it's not a thing.
Yeah, I blew my opportunity on a couple of things, and the first time I tried to learn from it, it was one of those where I self-taped for something. I was like, oh, whatever, I just self-taped. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're flying you to LA for a screen test. I'm like,
Yes.
okay. So I'm going. And I didn't realize with you do the deal before you do the screen test. So
Yeah.
you know
So
if you
you
get
see.
it, it's all done.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay. And they said, this is how much you get per episode. I was like, how much? Remy, you're next. I was like,
Yeah. You were
So-
like, wait.
by the time I walked into the room, I've already equated how much I could make, how it'd be good for my boys.
Yep.
And everything just went out the
freeze.
window because now I cared.
Yeah, exactly. And
So this great, that sort of ignorance is bliss sort of thing is fabulous
like
at times.
and trust me, like if I didn't get it, I would have probably spent a week like crying about it and then been like, okay, I'm really not supposed to do this. I get it now. You know what I mean?
Okay. So now it's January 1st.
Yeah, they call me. They're like, hey, so like if you're still interested or like if you're around, like there's space for you at the Richard Rogers, which is the Broadway theater, as a vacation swing for 6 months. Like we know you're in school, but like, so if you don't want to do it, I was like, no, I want it. Yeah, yes, please. And they're like, okay, great. We'll send you an email. And they called me from like a Massachusetts number. So at first I like.
But you don't
picked
have
up
an
the
agent
phone.
repping you for this.
No. So they called me directly.
Tell me your mom became your agent
No.
for this deal. Give me the phone.
No, she's like, come here. No, they called me from like a Massachusetts number and they told me that I booked it. And then I ran downstairs and I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway. And my dad was like, what is Broadway? And my mom was like, no, you're not. What do you mean?
And did anyone go, who makes a call on New Year's Day?
Well, yeah. They were like, number one, we were just at my grandma's house for like the soup and like the prayer and all of the things. And then we came home and I got this call and I was like, I'm quitting school.
Of course, it's your Independence Day as well.
Yeah. And they were like, no, you're not. What's happening? And then they sent the actual contract via email, like as they do. And I was like, yeah, this is how much money I'm making. Like, but the thing is, they called me on January 1st. The job started on January 7th. So I had like a week to pack up everything and go and convince my parents to let me to go. Because they were like, no, like my whole entire life, I'm like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to hold hearts in my hands and like fix people and save them. That's what I'm going to do. And to tell them that I wasn't doing that anymore, it was like very shocking. And also, I don't think any of us really thought that it would actually happen. Like they were like, yeah, like this is like a nice dream and like, but it's always been a hobby. Like dance has just been something to like correct your posture and like we move on. But I booked it and then the next day, my dad went to work and he was like, like my daughter, she booked this Hamilton something, and his coworkers were like, Hamilton, and like telling him how amazing it was. And he came home and he was like, I didn't know this was like a great honor. And I was like, yes, that's what I've been trying to say. So then they ended up letting me go, obviously. And my mom flew up with me and spent a week in a hotel with me trying to find an apartment. And like she met the stage managers, walked across the stage.
During January time as well. That must have been hard.
Oh, it was hard and like expensive too.
Yeah.
And also it was my first time in like a big city. So I was confused. I was
What
like
a shock
lost.
that is.
Yeah, it was very much a culture shock. But then I started work. My first day of work, I got to watch the show. And then I was like weeping, obviously. And it was my first Broadway show I ever saw too. So I was like,
Right.
this is crazy. And then I started working.
So that's it. And the
Yeah.
heart surgery, the whole...
Well, okay,
That's on
so
hold?
no, they were like, you can do this, but you have to continue your schooling. Like, you can't stop. And I was like, but it's gonna be so hard. They're like, well, that's what you wanted. So I ended up switching my major. Instead of cardiothoracics, I switched to neuropsych, and I completed that online. And I graduated 2 years ago now.
So you're a psychologist.
Yeah, neuropsych. Yeah, undergrad.
My God.
Yeah.
Going back to heart surgery, because obviously
Yes.
I played a heart surgeon for 2 years. I'm basically a heart surgeon.
Yeah, obviously.
I was a cardiothoracic surgeon, head of department. So,
Period.
did you ever get into a surgery and see a heart surgery being done?
Yes. On Take Your Child to Work Day.
Well, I wish I went with someone because I was in there as an actor, but like all done up and like.
Watching it. The hand in the chest cavity.
Okay.
The jaws of
Can we
life.
just walk through this?
Yeah.
No one warned me. What I thought it'd be a delicate little like. So I'm in there, I'm all scrubbed up. So I spent an hour with the actual surgeon. So as an actor, that hour is all I needed.
Yeah.
What is about to happen? I look back now. I didn't need to be in the room.
Yeah. You didn't. You did all the prep
So I
work.
get in there, and obviously I'm all done up, and I think I had to pretend I wasn't an actor. I was like
Right.
a junior. You know,
You're
it's
just like-
just one of our work experience.
Yeah.
So I'm sat at the back. The chainsaw, or whatever that first instrument. I was like,
Yeah. Right
you
down
see
the
this little
center of the
smoke coming up.
sternum.
I was like, wow. So I'm like, okay, I'm all right. I'm fine. And he's talking to me about it. I'm like, and I look over, and his assistant's literally
Yeah.
foot up,
Yeah.
cracking the
that
sternum this
shit
big.
open.
I was like,
Sorry, I cursed. Sorry.
you, well, you're, it's not about, don't worry about my podcast. Your
Okay.
parents are going to be upset. So they're just ripping this sternum back. I was like,
Yeah.
I said, I thought it'd be like, a delicate thing. Oh, no, it's, and he told me, I said, so what's the recovery like that? Surely the pain. He goes, funny enough, because the way they put it back together and they
Yeah.
secure it, it's not as bad as it looks, the recovery.
Yeah.
And then as I went to ask the next question, all I remember is I'm looking up and he's going, are you okay? Yeah. I passed out.
Oh no.
I was out. That was the end of my,
Your experience as a cardiothoracic
I'm going home.
surgeon.
I'm done.
You're like, I'm good. Yeah.
And he goes, don't worry, I passed out my first time too. I was like, that still
It's
doesn't help to hear
different.
that. All I remember is him explaining that last bit and then my eyes opening up and I see these eyes just over me. I was like, oh, did I pass out? He goes, yeah.
You're
I was like,
yeah, you're on the floor.
gave me some jelly beans and I went home.
Get your sugar back up.
So you were okay in the room?
Yeah. I mean, because my dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse, all of our like take your child to work days, we got to go to the hospital and like get scrubs and
So you in the room, you weren't even from a viewing gallery?
we were in the room for a gallbladder surgery. Yeah, viewing gallery for cardiothoracics.
I know what made me pass out though, because
Mm-hmm.
everything when you walked in, because the patient's all covered up, you just see a little
the
thing
little
for the
square,
chest.
yeah.
But when lady there was doing this, I saw the feet shake.
Yeah.
And it became a human. Because up into there, it just looked like
Just like
when
a
I'm on
place.
set, it
Yeah.
looked like doesn't look
Absolutely.
real.
Yeah.
Then I saw the feet move because of the vigorous
Vigorous,
pulling. I was
yeah.
like, oh, that's a human.
Yeah.
I was out.
It's a lot. My dad, when he saw his first cadaver, he like pieced out. And
Did he?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why he does general practitioning and geriatrics now. He was going to be a surgeon.
Because my brother was going to be a doctor as well before he became a cop, and he got to the point where he saw the cadavers. I said, "What happened?" He goes, "I was out."
Yep. It's like, I can't do
It's out of
this.
seat. You have to
Yeah.
come get him.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you're a neuropsychologist.
Neuropsychology, yeah.
What does that mean?
Basically, it's like psychology, but with a focus on like how the brain interacts with like the rest of the body, like what hormones stimulate what and why people act the way that they do. Whether it's like an increase in dopamine or like a lack thereof, serotonin, all of these things, and how drugs or like medicine interacts with the system.
So does that come into your work? Does it come into your workouts? Is that something you're constantly thinking of? You seem like quite a cerebral person. Does that affect you as an artist?
I think the psychology part definitely, because we had to do like a focus on like original psych and like learning about all the different like techniques and different teachers of everything. And I think that it helps me because I also love like acting and stuff. So I think it helps me get into the head of like characters more.
Right.
So with Hamilton, I'm in the ensemble, so like dancing all the time. But when I get sides and things like that, it really helps me to like understand where they're coming from and why they would respond the way they do, which like writers of shows, obviously like writing the show, they like know why that is, but then you're given the sides and you're like having to figure out how to make this person also yourself, which is
that's your breakdown. So when you get a script,
yeah,
besides obviously the obvious of learning the lines and setting up the self-tape pantomime that we have to go through.
Literally.
Because obviously as actors, we want to get into the mind of the character. We want to find our conduit. What's the first thing you do then to get it off the page?
My brain is very good at memorizing things. I don't have an eidetic memory. I don't have like a photographic like ka-ching, ka-ching kind of thing, but...
And for the listeners at home, eidetic...
Like a photographic memory.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. But I like to like read through it and understand like what's going on and what they want, who they're interacting with, what's like causing them to not get what they want, and like how they're going to figure that out. And then reading the breakdown again and being like, how did they perceive this person when they wrote who they were?
Right.
And then how to add that into my life, or like see it from a way that I would understand, and like something that I've been through, and how to like intermingle them through their brain.
Have you ever got to the point where you sat with the writer? Like, has the audition gone that far yet for you? Because I would love for them to sit down and talk with you about this.
Not that far. I've gotten like a couple of like, you're on hold for this day, and then it's like, sorry, or like in the mix. Yeah, sorry, you know.
Don't you love that? And I love when they're like, they give you 12 pages. We need this by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then 7 weeks later, we're still thinking about it. I'm like, are you now?
Yeah, that happened. I don't know if I can say. Well, I auditioned for a certain movie that came out recently. That I auditioned for it, and then like 6 months later, I got called back for that character and then another character in it, but never had the like talking to the casting director kind of thing. So I was like, wait, so I didn't understand that's how it could work also.
Yeah.
I was like, I did this literally 6 months ago.
Sometimes I wonder too, like if you go out for something, I've been out for something where they like you, but they keep bringing up for other roles in it. So by the third one, I'm like, I'm not going to put this down anymore. You either like me or you don't.
Yeah. Or like they're just trying to figure out like where you fit in the story, which like amazing. But I just never thought that they would remember like my tape to be like, oh yeah, bring her back. So that has been good for me to be like, it's not all just a void.
Yeah. But it does, take a mix sometimes. And like one audition I had 18 pages. I'm like, it was for a film. I was like, I'm basically shooting all my film.
Yes.
What?
On my iPhone camera. Yeah.
So are you going to do anything? I guess you're still pursuing as an artist, but the psychology part, that's just going to take over? Is that something you got to keep, I don't know, like, how do you keep upping your skills? Do you still do the readings?
Yeah, I just love to read. Like, that's just the thing that I do. So I have a couple of books about like psychology that I just like flip
And you do
through.
that because you enjoy it?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's just something that I like. But I can go get my master's and then a PhD. And even with a neuropsych degree, you can still take like the MCAT and go to doctor school, which is what my parents would really adore. So
if you decide to do that, how many years of education are you looking at?
I think it's like 8 or so, 8 years. And
8
then,
more from here on in?
Yeah, I think it's like 4 years of the master program and then 4 years of like residency and placement. And then you're doing your thing.
Oh, my days.
Yeah, but it also, I feel like the older I get, the faster time flies by. Like I wouldn't have foresaw that I would be in the show this long already.
Yeah.
Like it still feels like I just hopped off the plane and like it's my first day of work,
Well, that's a great feeling to have.
Yeah. But
how
it's
many
like,
years into it now? 2 years? 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5, not including the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
And it still feels great. Still fun.
Yes. It's just you find new things, and I think it was written in a way that you're always discovering something new about it. Yeah. It's very interesting.
How does
show.
the family feel about what you're doing now?
Well, it's interesting because when I first left, they were like, okay, you're going for 6 months and then you'll be back and then we'll get back on track and like figure it out.
Get it out of your system?
Yeah. He was like, you did it. You made your Broadway debut. You don't have to do it anymore. But now it's like my mom and dad, they'll still be like, so like, what's the plan? Like medicine? When are you doing that? But also my mom will send me links to articles about like the benefits of self-taping. So like they're doing their own research in like a parent way. Like they're like, we don't want you to have instability, but also, I guess, yeah, you could be in a movie. which would be cool.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second.
Well, yeah, I got to do Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as a dancer in that movie, and my dad was like, "Yeah, my daughter worked with Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman, and yeah, you can watch her on Netflix." And then I did like a animated movie, Secret Magic Control Agency, which was voiceover, and they were like, "Yeah, she's that character on Netflix." So they're very proud, but also I think they just want stability, and so much of our life is like not that. But Hamilton has been really good because, you know, it's been so stable for so long, crossing my fingers. So
for now, in the here and now as we're speaking, that's the foreseeable future?
Yeah, right
long?
now.
Is it open-ended for you right now?
Yeah, because I'm a
Nice.
permanent swing. I used to be vacation, and then they upped me after the pandemic.
How do you feel when you first, because to be a swing for your first job, that's quite a task.
Yeah. I don't even know how because it wasn't on my resume. I never swung anything before. So I don't even know how they were like, oh, she can do that.
Yeah.
You know?
There wasn't really much on the resume, was there?
No.
So
It was Flashdance the musical. But I was like the ensemble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, swing is a difficult job.
Yes. Yeah.
So you just had to sit there, make notes, and watch everyone, because Hamilton's quite intricate.
Yes. Yeah.
Those scenes, to be that person one night and
literally, and then flipping, and then sometimes switching who you are in the middle of the show. Now I've gotten much more comfortable with it. Like, I'm not as scared, but when I first had like a mid-show swing on, that was crazy.
How often are you going on these days?
Um,
Do you find you go through seasons, so like you'll have like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of constant being on, or split tracks?
yeah.
And then you'll have, like, a week
and
of
then I'll
nothing.
have like a week off, and then it'll go back to like the craziness.
So you're obviously in theater when you're off, unless up until a certain point in the show before you can leave, right?
Yeah. Up until
What do you do with your time?
ties. I read a lot of deadline articles and like read books, and sometimes we'll like play card games with the other swings and stuff
Yeah?
like that. Yeah, just to pass the time.
How often do you find yourself, I should go watch tonight just to refresh? Or you're on enough to not have to do that?
I feel like I'm in the show a lot. As recently, it's been like a lot of like, hey, you're on. And sometimes we'll get the schedule for the week, and it'll say that we're scheduled to be on because people have like personal days of vacation. But you know, with like the COVID and like everything like that, it's just been so. We've had to like rely on the swings and understudies and standbys a lot more than when I first joined.
And I saw on your social media, and it's a congratulations, it's a belated congratulations, Wilhelmina Model.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that was really cool.
How did that come
Yeah.
about?
My manager is married, or their partner is a Wilhelmina agent, and he's been wanting to meet with me for a while, ever since I moved to the city. But when I first moved to the city, I was like, I cannot do that. Like, I am nowhere near confident enough to like stand in front of a camera and not shake and cry. But this year, I really wanted to focus on saying yes to things more, and like just putting myself in places that terrify me a little bit. And so I met with them, and they liked my look and my conversation with them, and then we signed, and now here I am.
Someone told me yesterday, how do you know you're growing? And they said, when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's
So how does that work, being a Wilhelmina Model now? You just go to castings? Do you have a book?
Well, I
book
have
of
to.
photos?
I have to start doing test shoots now with like different photographers and stylists, and like build a portfolio. But I did go on a casting 2 weeks ago, my first casting, and I booked it. So
Congrats.
Thanks. But yeah,
Look at that, 1 for 1.
yeah. But it's strange because it's such a different world, because it's so much based on the physicality, and it's important to me that I don't lean into the like, okay, I'm a model now, so I have to like, you know, stop everything that I'm doing and like trim down.
No. Well, that's
like,
not why they wanted you.
Well, right. And just like reminding myself of that when you like, obviously you walk into a casting room with like gorgeous, super tall, gorgeous people, and you're just like, I don't know.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you're not
But just like,
the tallest person, but you're super gorgeous, and you got a lot of
Thanks.
personality, and
Well, thanks.
you're bringing a lot to the table that's unique
well, yes.
that
yeah.
no one else can do.
Just like relying on, or like recognizing that I am like a unique and whole individual,
Yeah.
just as myself.
Yeah, it's about knowing your own star power, right?
Yeah.
Which we all have in us.
Exactly. Yes. Because there's like, not everybody can do what I can do, and not everybody, I can't do what the next person can do, you know?
That's right. It's knowing what
So.
you got.
Yeah.
But that's easier said than done.
Yes.
You know, and I'm still learning
Yeah.
that at times. You know, you kind of look, oh, this could be like such and such. No, what does Ramin or Johanna want to bring?
Well, right. It's like, I forget who says it, but somebody says that like comparison is the thief of joy. And that it's like
I agree with that.
something that I have to drill, because obviously you're like, I auditioned for this, and then you watch the show come out and you're like, this person booked it. Like, why did they book it? What do they like more about them? And then you start to get into this like.
So do you self-check yourself? Are you good at that when it comes to, because obviously you need a social media presence. I know you're on TikTok, and obviously you're going to start doing more photos. So you will be posting that, because why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
It's a business tool.
Yeah.
But then you have to watch yourself going further on and looking at what other people are doing.
Exactly.
Are you good at not doing that, or at least bouncing that, or using it as an inspiration? Like, oh, that's cool. Maybe
I think I've gotten better at not just being like, I'm just like terrible, that's why they didn't pick me. I think I'm better at like seeing the whole entire situation for what it is, and understanding that maybe it's just not my time right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with like my self-checking and the work that I do outside of the building, and any building that I walk into. Like audition wise, I like to like stay ready so I don't have to get ready for an audition kind of thing.
Yes.
Or just like journaling or like meditating, keeping myself in like a balanced place so that I'm not pouring from an empty cup.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
How often do you journal?
Every day.
Do you set a certain time, or it's like, okay, I can do this now? Or are you one of those like, wake up, I journal, I do this?
Yeah, I have one that I do in the morning right when I wake up, and I just like write down whatever thoughts just come to my head, whether it be like song lyrics or like something a dream was about, and then
Just whatever, unconscious. Just
boom. Just like writing it down. And then I like to go back and read it and be like, that's so reflective of like where I was at that time. And you don't even like realize it really, but that's nice. And then I have one that I just have in my backpack at all times, and if I think of something, I just like jot it down real quick.
Smart.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you and zodiac signs? What's the deal there?
I don't know a lot about astrology. I know I'm a Sagittarius with a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising.
Well, I asked this because, again, your fabulous website.
Yes.
You offer this with a little,
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Because a Sagittarius, I've heard that a lot of people think that they're very like, I'm like clawing the microphone for those who are not. But then Scorpios are like so emotional and like very emotionally driven. And I feel like I'm a very sensitive little lady. I feel like I'm always crying. But, you know, for
crying's
different reasons.
great. Nothing wrong with crying.
I know.
It releases, what is it? What does it release when you cry?
Dopamine and serotonin. And it's good for you. But also, I went to see Parade the other day, and I didn't know what it was about. And obviously, it's a very terrifyingly and sad story.
Yeah. It's one of those shows where it's hard to leave going, that was amazing.
Yes. And it was.
I feel guilty to say something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like the actors, like the grace and humility and vulnerability they have to be able to do that 8 times a week is astounding. And I feel like they have to walk around with their heart like literally outside of their chest all the time.
Yeah.
I spent 20 minutes in our stage management office after the show just like weeping, but like ugly crying. Like it was bad for anyone that walked in. They're like, is she all right? And I was just like, but yeah, I'm a very sensitive girl.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. And that's great that a show and art does that, you know?
Yeah, but then like my mom, I called her on FaceTime because I call my mom every day. It was like just a thing. But she was like, Johanna, I feel like you like seek out these things that bring you pain. And I was like, no, it's not. I just, So, yes.
Well, I don't even want to dive into what it was about that show because it is heartbreaking. So
Yeah. Yes, but so good. Yeah.
So you're not so hard into astrology.
Not so much. I'm very into like angel numbers right now. I just got this 444 because I've been seeing that like iteration of numbers for a while ever since my grandfather passed away last year. And I was like, I don't know like why. Like every time I look at my phone, it's like 444, and I'm like, what is happening? And like all of the stuff surrounding that is like really beautiful and powerful, and I think like self-affirming for like the points you are in your life, which could be a whole load of like.
So now when you
whatever.
see 444,
Yeah.
what do you do?
I'm just like, it just gives me, I don't know, I kind of get chills when I see it.
But does it mean like,
It
I don't know,
means,
because there's no wrong answer,
Yeah.
but it could be do you, sometimes when I ever see whether it's 1111,
Yeah.
555,
Yeah.
I'll just do a moment of gratitude for something.
Well, yeah, like 1111, I'll always like make a wish. 444 is it's basically saying that your angels are like protecting you, like they're around you, they're protecting you and like pushing you forward. So I'm always like, okay, I'm on the right path. Like it's always like one of those where I'm like, okay, thank you, and then I can continue on. Yeah.
It's funny. Yesterday, someone said to me, "Wish is like regret; it has no constructive value."
Whoa.
So, like having gratitude has value.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong,
Yeah.
but it's made me really think about it. Like when you wish for something, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But having like gratitude for something or a focus or an intention.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Because wishes can be fun, you know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think that they can like bring hope. I think that I'm trying to recognize like what I'm grateful for now and also still have like room for hoping for what could be next, you know?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Hope is great.
Yes.
We always have to have hope.
Michaela Diamond is hope personified in that show. I've been thinking about it for days, but
Don't cry.
I won't.
You can cry.
There's cameras here.
Listen, that's what we want for the...
The zoom in.
Join us on the hang.
I'm like weeping. Yeah, no.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, you know, like perfection is never attainable, but
No.
hope and the pursuit of
Yes.
trying to be
Yes.
better than yesterday
Is something that you
we
can
gotta have.
actively do every
have
day.
that intention, have
Yeah.
that grace, have that joy in the process.
And like I mean, like a lot of what we do is like, you don't get a clear answer. It's like a lot of no's, and it can be really easy to get beaten down by all of that. But like the one active thing you can do is like take stock of what you do have. If it's friendships or like a roof over your head, you woke up today, you're breathing today.
It's all those little things that we don't
Yeah.
think about. And
that
I think
they just stack up.
yeah. And if you don't have gratitude for that, then whether it's your God, universe, I don't know, whatever you want to believe in,
Yeah,
why would you get more
exactly.
when you don't see what's here now?
Yeah, I feel like you can like close yourself off to like that good energy if you're just in that space of like nothing's happening for me, you know?
So I'm looking at the questions on the old gram, and we have spoken.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
You're all right.
Okay. The old gram is amazing.
The old gram, is that what we
Yeah.
don't call it? That
No, it's
anymore?
amazing.
Tickety talk, gram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The old Twitter.
Dude, you
I'm having you on there. Okay, so we've talked about zodiac sign. That's been there, and
Yeah.
your TikTok channel.
I do have a TikTok channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do on that?
Um,
You blown up?
no.
No.
Oh, just funny.
Yeah. Are you funny?
I think I'm the funniest person in the world.
Then I agree.
Okay, great. Excellent.
I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah. Just funny videos or like Hamilton videos.
I did look on your Tickety Talk, and you write.
I do write.
Yeah.
I do write songs.
I saw you in the studio that day.
Yeah, with my friend Q. He has a studio in
Amazing
his
studio,
house.
by the way.
It's literally in a bedroom in his house.
So you write music. You
I
play
do.
guitar?
I do.
Anything else?
I played piano growing up, but I can't read music, so it comes from the ears.
Yeah.
So it takes me a while to like plunk it all together. But yeah.
How proficient are you on the guitar?
On the guitar, well, I say that I'm a beginner at best. It's easier for me to pick up. Like I taught it to myself in the beginning of the pandemic, and I could like play songs
Good
at
for
the end
you.
of a month. Yeah.
So
but
do you have any live shows coming up?
No,
So where do we hear this music of yours?
it's not out yet. But I'm.
But it's
working
original,
on-
right?
Yes. Yeah. I've written. I think I've written like 10 or so songs, and Q, he wants to release an EP in like the summertime. So we're figuring out how that works and like how I feel, because sharing music is such a vulnerable experience that I
Yeah.
didn't really think about when I was writing it. And a lot of the stuff that I've written, or not a lot, but like one song that I've written in particular, the one that I was in the studio for, I wrote it like in a very, very different headspace than I am now about everything.
But that's okay. It's a timestamp of that moment.
Exactly.
That's why, like, as a songwriter, you don't necessarily need to tell us what it's about.
Yeah.
What we take from it, that's up to us.
Exactly. And it was like a thing of him being like, this feels like lightning in a bottle right now. Like, I feel like if you did choose to release it, a lot of people could feel something from it. And I was like, oh, you're right. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Broadway star, Wilhelmina Model, now a singer-songwriter extraordinaire.
bad at compliments.
Well, learn to take them.
I'm trying.
Okay, general question, but I think it's always something I can't hear enough is how do you handle your hectic schedule? But I think we've got that because you journal, you take time to
recenter.
fill your cup, as you say.
Yeah.
Recenter.
Just like doing things that I'm like, if I'm burnt out, I can tell, and I really don't want to like project any of those emotions onto anybody else. So I'll usually like take a day, if it's my day off or not, but like, and not say a single word all day and just kind of like relax away from people.
Sit in the silence.
Recharge, yeah.
You going to the gym, is that an often thing? Is that something you actively enjoy doing?
Yes.
You do it?
I find that it like quiets my mind in a different way. Like I'm just kind of thinking about like using the muscle, and then because physiologically it releases endorphins and like serotonin and all that stuff, you're just like, I do feel better.
Yeah, I certainly work out. My volume is the same, but my reasoning is different now. Like any sort of aesthetic benefits that, we work out with certain goals, we have certain rep ranges, certain weights for a reason, but it's certainly mental first and foremost.
Yeah, it's no longer about like changing the way my body looks because it's the only body I have, and I have to try and accept it for what it is every single day.
Just want to make it
healthy.
Work for how you want it to be.
Like I just want to be able to a new goal is that I want to be able to run a marathon. I don't know when that's going to happen.
So when you run, do you run outdoors now?
Yes. Yeah.
Like when it's warmer, obviously, and whatnot?
Yeah.
How far do you run on an average?
Maybe a mile and a half, maybe.
Yeah. Why do I don't loosen up. My legs feel like lead.
Yeah, I feel
the
like
further I get.
I've heard that if you lift a lot, that you're like a slower runner, or it's like harder for you to run, like because you're using different like fast twitch fibers and like different types of things. But I want to be able to run a marathon. But I think for the mental clarity and also like the determination you have to do that.
Yeah, because like
it's like a mind game.
When I ride my Harley, by mile 20, I want to stop.
Yeah.
Let alone run 26.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I feel like if I'm able to like train my brain to be like, you can do this, your brain is the one that retires faster than your body will. So if you just keep like tapping into that, you'll be able to make it.
You definitely can.
I think that I can.
All right. So where are we now? It's March when we're recording this.
Yeah.
When's the New York Marathon usually?
November.
Okay. Next November. Not this year, next year.
Yeah. Next November.
So 2024, you're going to do it.
Absolutely.
You said absolutely.
I did.
Okay. No going back. Your family's going to hear this. They probably won't.
No. But yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go so fast.
And you know what? I'll be there to take a photo.
Yeah.
Great hanging with you.
Great hanging with you.
So, Tickety Talk, what's your handle?
Johanna Moise.
And Instagram, the gram?
Johanna, Moise.
Ooh. Are you on anything else? What's your website again?
JohannaMoise.com.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Speak soon.
Thanks.
My dog. Huh? What?
I flipped the table.